Lately, San Mateo County's embattled sheriff has some new ammo in her fight to save her job. The legal team that is representing Sheriff Christina Corpus released a review of the scathing independent report that set the stage for her potential ouster. The original report laid out the evidence of abuse and corruption within the sheriff's office. Corpus has denied any wrongdoing and refused to step down. But county supervisors held a special election last month where voters gave them the power to remove her from office. Now, in a new twist, the sheriff's attorney hired a different former judge to review the original report. Lauren Toms details the results.
Embattled San Mateo County Sheriff Christina Corpus is hitting back at a bombshell 400-page report released last year that called for her resignation. A new 22-page evaluation of that report and commissioned by Corpus's legal team suggests the earlier report, written by retired Judge Ladoris Cordell, lacked transparency and due process standards. Attorney Stephen Clark says it shows Corpus isn't giving up on her fight to keep her office.
What Sheriff Corpus is saying by releasing this report is, I'm playing this to the court of public opinion. She's throwing cold water on the Cordell report and saying it was advisory only. It's not meant to hold up in a court proceedings or proceedings before the Board of Supervisors.
The evaluation, released Friday and written by retired Judge Burke Strunsky, suggests that because Sheriff Corpus isn't an employee of the office, but rather an elected official, she is not beholden to the same rules and regulations of sheriff's deputies.
She's not above the law. There's no question about that. But what she's trying to say is that I may not fall under the same rules that the other people in the sheriff's department fall under because I'm an elected official.
In the report, Judge Strunsky concludes that because the sheriff derives authority from the electorate, the policy manual of the office does not govern the sheriff's official conduct. San Mateo County Sheriff's deputy and board member of the deputies union, Elliot Storch, asked the question that if Corpus isn't governed by office rules, what rules does she have to follow?
It made me feel pretty disregarded and disrespected. We ultimately follow rules. We follow not just our department policies and procedures, but we have to follow case law. We have to follow California state law. We enforce the laws, and we are responsible for therefore following them ourselves.
Attorneys for Corpus tell us she is bound by the Constitution and the rule of law, but did not elaborate on internal policies. Storch says he's not confident the latest evaluation will hold much weight, as voters already decided to allow the Board of Supervisors to remove the sheriff in a public hearing. That's in line with Strunsky's report that concludes if the Board of Supervisors should pursue her termination, it should be done in a public hearing.
The public very clearly saw through Sheriff Corpus's poor arguments. I ultimately don't think this is going to have much of an impact, if any.
The evaluation also raises concerns with the methodology of Cordell's report, which references 40 anonymous witnesses. The judge wrote the report's principal findings lacked evidence and relied on hearsay, much of that from an unnamed civilian who detailed inappropriate conduct between Corpus and her chief of staff. But what lies ahead is unclear, and Clark says the Board of Supervisors is an uncharted territory.
This is a starting point, and I think what Sheriff Corpus wants is a full hearing where witnesses are forced to come forward so she can confront them in front of the Board of Supervisors. This could become a very ugly proceeding.
The judge concludes that Cordell's investigation has value, but only as a starting point, and says the evidence is too frail to warrant overturning an election.
Judge Cordell declined to comment on that new report. The Board of Supervisors is now finalizing the process that they're going to use to potentially remove the sheriff from office. That alone could take several months just to hammer out the details. Ultimately, 4 out of 5 supervisors would have to vote for removal for Sheriff Corpus to lose her job.